Canada has spent decades building a reputation as one of the best countries in the world to live in. But today, something is changing. More young people, including immigrants, are quietly leaving or planning to leave. This could make you wonder, why is this happening? And why now? This is not about politics. It's about economics, expectations, and a growing gap between what people were promised and what they are experiencing. In this video, we'll break down what is really happening using data, not assumptions. First, let's look at the promise that built Canada. Canada's model has been simple: attract talent, offer stability, provide opportunity. This is basically the model that built the United States of America. Following this model, over 400,000 immigrants have been admitted annually into Canada in recent years, with targets rising toward 500,000 per year. The idea is clear: more people means more growth. But that model depends on one critical condition: opportunity must keep up with population growth. But right now, that balance is under pressure. While the population has continued to grow, the correlation with existing opportunities seems to be widening with great margin. The cost of living crisis in Canada is real, and housing is the biggest issue. As of 2024, the average home price in Canada is over $700,000 CAD. In Toronto and Vancouver, it is significantly higher. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment in major cities can exceed $2,500 KD per month. At the same time, wage growth has not kept pace with housing costs. Interest rates have increased mortgage pressure. This creates a structural problem. Even high-income earners are finding it difficult to build financial stability. And for young people, the idea of owning a home is becoming increasingly unrealistic. And that brings us to the job market reality. Canada's unemployment rate remains relatively stable, around 5 to 6% in recent years. But that number hides an important detail, because it is not just the fact that people are in jobs. The nature of jobs should matter. Underemployment is rising. Many graduates and immigrants are working in jobs below their qualification levels. For immigrants, studies consistently show higher rates of underemployment, slower income growth, difficulty with credential recognition. This creates a situation where people are working but not progressing. This brings into question the gap between expectations and reality. And this is where the real shift happens. Canada still offers stability, but stability is no longer enough. Young people today are not just looking for safety, they are looking for upward mobility, asset growth, financial independence. When those things don't materialize, the gap between expectation and reality becomes impossible to ignore. People sometimes tend to ignore this gap. This is especially the immigrant community, who are most times just happy to get by. This is considering the realities of the home front where they are coming from. They still consider the gap between expectations and reality in Canada okay to ignore. But this is not the same case with other Canadians or migrants from similar developed economies in the West. This set of residents easily get fed off with the system. They realize the fact that Canada is not delivering as expected. They notice the gap very easily, and they are very uncomfortable with it. For members of this community, mobility is something they always consider an option. And right now, many are activating this option. The same talent Canada built a model to attract and keep are also vigorously sought for elsewhere around Europe and America. There is a global competition for talent. So, this is not happening in isolation. Other countries are competing aggressively for the same talent. The UK is adjusting immigration pathways. The US continues to attract high-income professionals. Countries like the UAE offer tax advantages. Some European countries are introducing digital nomad visas. This creates options. And when people have options, they compare. Canada is no longer being judged in isolation. It is being compared globally. People with real talent in Canada are weighing the options. This includes young people whose age is a demographic advantage. This is something that makes them the beautiful bride. As Canada goes true, the challenges of trying to balance opportunities with rising population, young people are losing patience already. They understand that government reorganizes the problem. They acknowledge that government is also doing her possible best to meet the needs of these challenges. This is why the trend is quiet. People are not protesting. They are not making headlines, but they are simply making decisions. Relocating, returning home, moving to other countries, or building income that allows them to leave. This is not a collapse. It is a shift. It is also a phase. Canada is still one of the most stable countries in the world, but stability alone is no longer a competitive advantage. The real competition is now about affordability, opportunity, and long-term wealth potential. Countries that fail to deliver on those will struggle to retain talent. For individuals, the lesson is simple. Where you live matters, but how you position yourself matters more. In a global economy, your opportunities are no longer tied to one country. They are shaped by your skills, your strategy, and your ability to adapt. This is Clariform, explaining what matters.